Okay, here is the last race video from the 2020 Bad Medicine at Fallen Timbers Hard Enduro. And you can see already, right off the bat, I've spent 15 seconds sitting on the start line of the dead engine. I'm not sure why this thing takes so long to fire up sometimes, but something I definitely need to get sorted out. It wasn't a big deal here. I wasn't in a position to be super competitive in my B class, and it seems like people don't really rip right off the start like they do in a hare scramble, so I was able to make up a few spots at least. Of course, not long after that, you hit this bottleneck in this bowl here. Everybody's getting stuck, and there was a line on the left that a couple people had taken. Fortunately, I was able to sneak my way down there and get through. You always kind of hope for a little bit of a break somewhere towards the end or the middle of the race, but this was 20 minutes in, if that, maybe 10 minutes in. We're all hanging out. Everybody's got the adrenaline going, trying to get through.
I'm taking that left line.
So made it. And it was a great confidence booster, right? That's exactly what you want right at the start. I have issues with not committing enough, not having the confidence I need, and so doing that was like, okay, I got this. I can make some time. And then I go do a stupid little move up this hill. I'd seen the arrow that's off to my left there, and it's like, oh, I gotta go up this. Well, there was a go around, which I should have just waited. But I was excited. There were bikes in the way. We weren't far in here, and I already, watching the videos, man, I was not attacking this at all. I roll in here and think, oh, I could pass 4 guys if I side hill this and kind of flip the bike around. Well, it was all loose, and there was a rock there. I felt real dumb, but then riding back, you see a guy does the same exact thing. Right there out to the corner of your eye. This was, the race format is there's a short race that only is about 10 minutes is the first race. The second race is an hour, which is on the same day as that kind of prologue qualifier race. And then on the last day, the next day is race 3. So I'm still pretty tired from the race the day before. I work a little bit too hard going through this stuff. I don't have the flow or the natural rhythm with it yet. Then you can see, even going up that hill, I have just barely enough speed to make it up. And that's a pretty consistent trend. I need to keep my eyes up further, keep my speed up, and that would help me a lot through all this. I got over this rock and was watching people go up. There were a bunch of people stuck up high on the hill. So I waited for a second, and I was like, I just gotta go. There's too many people passing me. And, still got behind somebody, and then, again, it's the same trend with all these hills and these videos from this race is just crawling and barely making it up. Beating on the clutch a bit and really just relying on the torque of that 450. And right after this, the trail gets going, there's a little rut, you go up the hill, and it turns into a little bit of just a hare scramble single track for a minute. And then the trail just disappeared, and I went back and forth here a bunch, and I never saw a clear arrow. The trail in the video is more clear to the left, but I had looked up, and there's a banner up to my right that you see me ride towards. I saw that banner and was like, oh, that's gotta be the trail. Well, that trail is the trail that we had just ridden up a quarter mile before on the course. Thank goodness I recognized that. So you can see there's 10 bikes. We're just going around in circles here, trying to figure out where to go. Yeah, and eventually somebody points out, it's like, oh, it's down this hill. Okay, well, down we go, and as soon as we look down that hill, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, there's a trail here a little bit, this has got to be it. And then there's an arrow, so felt good after that, but you couldn't see the arrows from up on top of that hill. I'm sitting here, and I am trying to conserve energy. I know it's a 3-hour race. I know I'm going to be struggling by the end. Of course, I'm struggling already a little bit, and I'm taking it pretty easy. This rock, it's a downhill roll. There was a little kicker rock there. I punched straight into that rock. I should have done the splatter thing, which I am not comfortable with. You'll see it again later in the video, me failing at it, but passing the bike across the rock worked okay. I didn't feel great about kind of stepping there where the banner was. I wasn't really outside the banner, but I still didn't feel great about it. Basic, slow, get over that log, right? I'm not doing any Graham Jarvis moves here, but it meant that there was no chance I was going to get stuck and have to pick the bike up. I gotta say, the terrain here at Wildwood Raceway and I think it was Little Hocking, Ohio, it's just absolutely crazy, beautiful place to ride. There was a rock step, which you can kind of see this guy's stuck on it. Everybody was getting hung up on it. There was just no traction. And this was like the first spot where I was like, oh man, I wish I had a gummy tire on this bike for race 3. You can see me there. My girlfriend was there, filming of course, this spot where I plow into a log and completely ungracefully throw my bike into it. Looking at the video, it's actually really nice. I can look at it and see, well, I should have got back further, weighted the back tire, gotten some traction, it would have been fine. Instead, I threw my body over the handlebars, so I had no grip. I don't know what I was thinking. And that's kind of a common trend. Like, you see me plow into logs and plow into rocks during this race, and it's all because I just don't get my weight back. I don't know if I'm afraid of too much wheelie or what, but super common trend for me. This rock was just so slippery. This is where a gummy tire would be like, I would just roll off the rock, it'd be fine. But I couldn't get my bike moving on top of a flat rock. Roll off the backside, and I hit that tree, and it just knocks me off the trail. Just I was tired by this point, right? And watching this guy go for a ride down that log, man. I sat here for a while thinking, man, I'm gonna do the same thing. I should have just gone for it. You sit there and stare at it. It's like not gonna help anything.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
I am really glad that I got to see those guys go over that log, because even if I couldn't replicate it myself for a bunch of terrible reasons of just my own inability to execute the technique right now, it gives me something to look back at, and I can say, okay, well, I know it's doable. I know it's, you do it right, it doesn't even expend any energy. And I'm hoping that taking that attitude, saying, okay, if I just go a little faster, even right here through these rocks, I drop the bike. If I just go a little bit faster and just do a little bit bigger wheelie, get my weight back further, get some traction on that back wheel, I'd have so many fewer problems. So that guy cruised past me and crashed off this log, so I sat there and made sure I had energy. And that really sums up race 3 for me. Was let's make sure I have energy to do this and do it once if I can help it. Just trying to make sure I made it through. After race 2, I knew, okay, this is gonna be hard. It's gonna be gnarly.
Oh, it feels so good in here.
It was a solid 10 or 20 degrees cooler in that cave. It was 90, 95 degrees out this whole weekend. And the cave was just like, I just wanted to sit there. And of course, here you can see, again, lack of speed. My back tire started sliding down. And again, this is my one pass, mentality. Is like, I'm just going to stop, I'll pull the back tire back on the trail, and I'll go. Because if I go down in that hole because I'm just trying to get through, I'm going to screw myself. I'm going to be stuck down there for 20 minutes. When, in reality, I should just go half a mile an hour faster. I'd make it just fine. It's a little frustrating watching this after the fact and seeing, okay, I could have just gone, I'd done this a little different, done that a little different, but that's part of learning, That's why I'm sitting here doing voiceovers too, because it's a good reflection on what I can try to do next time. I will be back. I mean, this is just... It's too cool of a challenge to not do again.
Or not.
This was the real spot where that splatter technique, where you kind of get the front wheel up high enough that it doesn't even touch the face, and you get that back wheel into it, and it just drives you up. All of the good guys were doing the same technique where they just hit it, right? Great trials technique. And
yeah.
I have a few problems, one of which is speed, but the other just comes back to that I don't get my weight back far enough, so that back tire never gets grip.
More speed than that.
Yeah, so watching these guys go through is like, man, I gotta learn how to do this. Like, it's no run up, just scoots right up it.
Okay, let's see if 450 can
One
do
day.
it. Oh,
One day I'll be able to do it. And man, he almost had it too. He had the whole bike up on that rock. And just didn't quite make it. And I don't even know, still watching this for the 6th time or whatever.
Kill switch.
I know my front wheel hit it,
grab it,
and I know it skipped sideways, so I guess what I should have done is gotten the front wheel up high enough that it never touched that rock.
450 is not the right bike.
I was thoroughly convinced I was on the wrong bike by this point.
Yep.
It just felt heavy compared to watching these guys on two-strokes just kind of dance over everything. I know it's technique. And actually going over this rock where you can see the front fender, the back wheel hits the ground first, it didn't look graceful, but that's of everything I got on the GoPro, that was the best time that I did that technique. Is I had my weight back, and I had traction at the back wheel the whole way over it, and then I got scared and pulled the clutch in. So I know I can do it.
Over's over.
I really need to practice that technique more. And at this point, you can hear my breathing, which is not something that happens a whole lot in these videos. I'm just, my body's overheated. I'm fighting the bike through stuff. There is nothing graceful about what I'm doing here. I saw all these bikes in a line. I was ready to take a rest. Here's another video from my girlfriend. Those are the two pros that just went up that step earlier in the video. You know, still right next to each other. And you can see, even they make mistakes sometimes, but it's still way more graceful than all of us amateurs. Even in the recovery, right? They're able to find that little ounce of traction that, you know, the rest of us are too ham-fisted to sort out. And this is another comparison, right? We got a pretty good amateur rider making it through there with some help. And then here comes a guy who really has the momentum, has the confidence,
Man.
just cruises. And here's me. You can see how far forward my weight is compared to the other guys. So I hit something with the front tire, the back wheel just spins, I go nowhere. I guess at least it's one consistent problem that I really need to work on rather than, you know, 20 different things I need to try to do. Nothing graceful, but made it. And then I stopped right there, set the bike down, and the guy in orange was actually parked next to me in the parking lot. So helped him go through, which meant helping 3 other people go through too. Man, pulling bikes up is exhausting.
You need water or anything?
You can hear the typical KTM starter freewheel spinning. Even new the bikes seem to do that. I don't know if there's a fix or not. That was one problem I never had with the 450. It always pretty much started right up, except on the start
You
line,
got
of
it.
course.
Get on seat bounce and it'll launch right over that.
You can see my bike on its side up there.
You got it. Here we go.
Here we go. Watch another guy kind of low-side it down the hill. I was obviously tired, and you know, we're getting towards the end of where the GoPro had battery, but you'll see I'm attacking even less than I was at the beginning, right? I make it back through the start finish, so I did get 1 lap. I got my lap in. I made it. Didn't get a DNF.
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady was the plan, and it got me there. I think I ended up. So the first race I got 2nd. It was short, and I made it through some bottlenecks. The second race, I got 16th. Again, this is out of 26 riders in B class. And then this race, I actually got 14th. So even though I didn't feel like I did very well, I think there were people who either tapped out after the first day, or maybe they got hung up just as bad as I did. As I go through here, through the Enduro cross section, slow and steady. And it was actually good enough to get 14th out of 26 for the weekend, which, you know, my first hard Enduro, did I hope I would do better? Of course, right? But I'm still happy with what I did here. I learned a ton. Learned some stuff about the bike setup to get it ready for Tennessee Knockout the month after this. So it was definitely worth doing. Definitely glad I did it. Learned a lot that helped me a lot in TKO and moving forward. I had sat on that hill for a while. There was no way I was going to get around those guys. I wanted to keep moving, right? Like my whole thought was, if I can keep even slow momentum through this stuff, it's going to be better than if I sit here and wait for everyone to move by this point. At the end, I did make it to the really nasty rock section, which I've forgotten what it's called. If it's the Carl's Diner type place. I did make it through it and to the check after that, and then timed out. So really, really happy I made it there at least. So that's race 3, and the next videos to come will be Tennessee Knockout.